Close your eyes for a moment and just listen. Every single morning, you wake up into a world that feels familiar. Same thoughts, same emotions, same patterns, and without realizing it, you begin to recreate the same life. But here's what most people never understand. Your life is not controlled by your circumstances. It is controlled by your internal state. The way you think, the way you feel, the way you respond, that is what creates your reality. Right now, your brain is a reflection of your past. Every habit, every reaction, every belief has been wired through repetition. But here's the truth that changes everything. Your brain is not fixed. It is plastic. It can change. The moment you decide to think differently, the moment you decide to feel differently, you begin the process of becoming someone new. But it doesn't happen by accident. It happens by intention. Most people wake up and immediately check their phone. They flood their mind with noise, stress, comparison, and distraction. And within minutes, they are pulled back into the same identity they lived yesterday. And then they wonder why nothing changes. If you want a different life, you cannot keep waking up as the same person. You must interrupt the pattern. This morning is your opportunity. Before the world tells you who to be, before your past tries to pull you back, you make a decision to think greater than how you feel, because your feelings are often just memories. They are emotional records of the past. And if you keep feeling the same emotions, you will keep living the same life. So instead, you rise above it. You begin to visualize. You see yourself becoming disciplined, focused, confident, unstoppable. You see yourself achieving your goals, not someday, but as if it's already happening. Because your brain doesn't know the difference between what is real and what is vividly imagined. When you mentally rehearse a new future, you begin installing new neural circuits. You are literally training your brain for success. But here's where most people stop. They think once is enough. It's not. Repetition is what creates transformation. You don't go to the gym once and expect a new body. You don't read one book and expect wisdom. In the same way, you don't think one positive thought and expect a new life. You must practice this version of yourself every single day, even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it, because that's the moment you are breaking the old program. And in that moment, something powerful happens. You stop being a victim of your environment and you become the creator of your future. Now listen carefully. Your environment may not support your growth. People around you may not understand your vision. Your current reality may not reflect your dreams, but none of that matters because change doesn't begin outside of you. It begins within you. The moment you become aware of your thoughts, you gain control over them. And awareness is the first step to freedom. So instead of reacting automatically, you start choosing consciously. You choose gratitude over frustration. You choose focus over distraction. You choose belief over doubt. And when you do that, your body begins to change because emotions are powerful. They are chemical signals that tell your body what reality to live in. If you live in stress, fear, and negativity, your body believes you are in danger. But when you feel gratitude, joy, purpose, your body begins to heal, grow, and align with a higher state. Gratitude especially is one of the most powerful emotions you can cultivate because when you feel grateful, you are telling your mind and body that your future has already happened, and that shifts everything. But here's the deeper truth. You cannot create a new life with the same identity. You must become someone new, someone who wakes up with purpose, someone who follows through on their commitments, someone who refuses to settle for average. Because discipline is not punishment. Discipline is freedom. It frees you from regret. It frees you from excuses. It frees you from the life you don't want, and it replaces it with the life you've been dreaming of. So starting today, your mornings are no longer random. They are intentional. You wake up, you take control of your mind, you visualize your future, you feel it as if it's already real, and you step into your day as that person, not the old you, not the limited you, but the elevated version of you. Because when you change your morning, you change your day. When you change your day, you change your life. So tomorrow morning and every morning after that, don't just wake up with purpose and become the person your future is waiting for. Call to action. If this message moved you, don't just listen to it once. Make it part of your daily routine, because repetition creates transformation. Listen to this every morning and watch your life begin to change. Expand the first keynote up to 800 words in a dead real emotion without headings or mentioning verses. Every single day, from the moment you open your eyes, something invisible begins to shape your entire reality, your thoughts. Before you even get out of bed, your mind starts replaying the same patterns, the same worries, the same doubts, the same expectations, and you don't even question them because they feel familiar. They feel like you. But what if I told you those thoughts are not you? They are just programs, repeated patterns built over time. Most people live their entire lives thinking they are reacting to the world around them, when in truth, they are responding to the world within them. Think about it. Two people can face the exact same situation. One sees opportunity, the other sees limitation. One feels empowered, the other feels defeated. The situation is the same, but the experience is completely different. Why? Because their thoughts are different. Your thoughts are not just random mental chatter. They are electrical signals in the brain that influence every decision you make, every emotion you feel, and every action you take. And over time, those actions create your results, your lifestyle, your identity. So if your thoughts don't change, your life doesn't change. And this is where most people get stuck. They try to change their life from the outside. They try to change their job, their income, their relationships, but they never change the one thing that controls all of it, their thinking. You cannot create a new future while holding on to the same old thoughts, because your current thoughts are perfectly designed to produce your current life. That means if you wake up every day thinking, nothing ever works for me, or I'm not good enough, or this is just how my life is, you are unconsciously reinforcing that reality. Your brain listens, your body responds, and your life reflects it back to you. It becomes a cycle, a loop that keeps repeating day after day, year after year. And the most dangerous part, it feels normal. You don't even realize you're stuck because it's familiar, comfortable, predictable. But growth doesn't happen in familiarity. Growth begins the moment you become aware of your thoughts, the moment you catch yourself thinking something limiting and you pause, you interrupt it, you question it, you ask yourself, is this thought helping me become the person I want to be? And if the answer is no, you choose differently. That's where your power is, not in controlling the world, but in controlling your mind. Because the moment you change a thought, you change a decision. When you change a decision, you change an action. And when you change your actions consistently, you change your entire life. But let's be honest, this isn't easy, because your brain is wired for efficiency, not transformation. It wants to repeat what it already knows. It wants to keep you safe, not necessarily successful. So when you try to think differently, it feels uncomfortable. It feels unnatural. Sometimes it even feels fake. You might say to yourself, this isn't me. And you're right. It's not the old you. It's the new you, trying to emerge. And that's where the emotional battle begins. There will be mornings when your mind pulls you back, when it tells you to stay small, to stay the same, to not try. There will be moments when doubt feels stronger than belief. But you have to understand something deeply. Just because a thought appears in your mind does not mean it's true. Thoughts are suggestions, not commands, and you have the ability to accept or reject them. Imagine waking up tomorrow and instead of replaying your fears, you deliberately choose a different thought. A thought that says, today is an opportunity. A thought that says, I am capable of more. A thought that says, I am becoming someone greater. At first, it might feel forced, but over time, it becomes natural because repetition wires it into your brain. And eventually, that new way of thinking becomes your default. Now, here's the shift that changes everything. When you change your thoughts consistently, you don't just change how you feel, you change how you see the world. Opportunities that were always there suddenly become visible. Solutions that felt impossible suddenly become clear. Confidence that felt distant suddenly becomes real. Not because the world changed, but because you did. And once you experience that shift, even for a moment, you realize something powerful. You were never stuck. You were just thinking in a way that kept you stuck. So starting now, you take responsibility, not for everything that happens to you, but for how you think about it, because that is where your power lives. In the quiet moments, in the early mornings, in the space between stimulus and response, that is where your future is being created. And if you truly understand this, if you truly begin to observe and direct your thoughts with intention, then you are no longer living by default. You are living by design. And that is where your life begins to change. Expand the second keynote up to 800 words and a dead real emotion without headings or mentioning verses inside your mind. Right now, there are billions of connections firing every second. Tiny electrical impulses moving through networks that have been built over years of repetition. Every habit you have, every reaction you default to, every belief you carry about yourself, all of it lives in those connections. And here's the truth most people never fully realize. Your brain has been shaped by what you've done repeatedly, not by what you want. That means the person you are today is not some fixed identity. You are the result of practiced thoughts, practiced emotions, and practiced behaviors. You didn't wake up one day and become this version of yourself. You trained into it moment by moment, day by day. And if you trained into it, you can train out of it. But this is where it gets uncomfortable, because your brain loves what is familiar. Even if what is familiar is limiting, painful, or holding you back, it still feels safe. It still feels like home. So when you try to change, when you try to think differently or act differently, your mind resists. It pulls you back. It whispers things like, "This isn't who you are." It reminds you of your past. It floods you with doubt, not because you can't change, but because your brain is trying to protect what it knows. And this is the moment where most people give up. They try something new for a few days, maybe a week, and when it feels hard, when it feels unnatural, they assume it's not working. But what they don't see is this, that discomfort is the signal that change is happening. Because every time you choose a new thought instead of an old one, every time you act differently than you did before, you are literally rewiring your brain. You are weakening old connections and strengthening new ones. It's like carving a new path through a dense forest. At first, it's difficult. You're pushing through resistance. There's no clear trail. Every step feels like effort. But the more you walk that path, the clearer it becomes. And eventually, it becomes the path you naturally take. This is how transformation works. Not in one big moment, but in small, repeated choices. Think about a habit you've had for years. Maybe it's overthinking. Maybe it's procrastination. Maybe it's doubting yourself the moment you try something new. That pattern didn't form overnight. It formed through repetition. You practiced it again and again until it became automatic. And now, without even realizing it, your brain runs that program for you. But here's the empowering part. The same way you installed that program, you can install a new one. You can train your brain to focus instead of distract, to act instead of hesitate, to believe instead of doubt. But it requires something most people avoid: consistency. Not motivation, not inspiration. Consistency. Because motivation fades, emotions change, life gets busy. But consistency, that is what rewires your brain. It's showing up when you don't feel like it. It's choosing the new thought, even when the old one feels stronger. It's taking the action, even when doubt is loud. And yes, there will be days when it feels like nothing is changing. Days when you slip back into old patterns. Days when you question if it's even worth it. But what you don't see in those moments is that beneath the surface, something is happening. New connections are forming. Your brain is adapting. You are becoming someone new, even if it hasn't fully shown up yet. And this is where faith becomes important. Not blind faith, but understanding. Understanding that repetition is not just practice, it is programming. Every time you repeat a thought, you make it easier to think again. Every time you repeat an action, you make it easier to do again. So the question becomes, what are you repeating daily? Because that is what you are becoming. If you repeat doubt, you become doubt. If you repeat fear, you become fear. But if you repeat confidence, discipline, belief, you become that. And here's the emotional truth most people don't talk about. Rewiring your brain means letting go of parts of yourself that feel familiar. It means saying goodbye to the identity you've carried for years. And that can feel uncomfortable, even scary. Because you've lived with that version of yourself for so long, it feels like losing something, even if that something is what's been holding you back. But what you're really doing is making space for a stronger version of you, a more focused version, a more confident, more capable, more intentional version. And that version is not out of reach. It's being built right now through what you choose to repeat. So tomorrow morning when you wake up, understand this. You are not starting from zero. You are continuing a process. Every thought you choose, every action you take, every moment you stay consistent, you are shaping your brain. You are shaping your future. And if you stay with it, if you keep going, even when it's hard, even when it's uncomfortable, there will come a moment when the things that once felt difficult become natural, when the discipline you struggled with becomes your standard, when the confidence you tried to fake becomes who you are, when the life you once imagined becomes your reality, not because of luck, but because you trained your brain to create it. And that is where true change begins. Call to action. Now listen carefully. This is where everything either changes or stays exactly the same. Because information alone does not transform your life. Action does. You've heard the truth. You've felt something shift inside you. But if you walk away from this moment and do nothing, your old patterns will take over again. They always do. So this is your moment to decide. Not tomorrow, not next week. Right now, make a commitment that starting from your very next morning, you will no longer wake up on autopilot. You will take control. Before you touch your phone, before the world gets your attention, you will sit with yourself. You will direct your thoughts. You will visualize the person you are becoming. You will feel it as if it's already real. And you will do it again the next day and the next and the next. No excuses, because your future is not built in one powerful moment. It is built in daily repetition. So don't just listen to this once. Make it a ritual. Play it every morning until your mind begins to change, until your habits begin to change, until your life begins to reflect it. And if you're serious about becoming a new version of yourself, then prove it. Start tomorrow morning.